Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this. Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
Everyone's idiots.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I'm your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb. And if you didn't hear that, that was him saying hi. I was going to say, I don't think that registered.
Let me check the waveform. There's definitely noise.
Okay.
There you go.
Discord did not let me hear that.
No, Discord thought I was a passing breeze. Listener, that's Landon's fault. Just before we started recording, you can blame him.
No. See, what they like to do is try to make me smile and laugh before I start. So, and that was just pretty good. You did good on that one. So
I do what I can.
Anywho, we're here to talk all things tech this week, and maybe a little of last week. Who knows? It's we got a few things we want to talk about. Why don't we go ahead and get into this? We have two events that happened. The first one is the Awe-Ful-I-Mean-Awe-Dropping event.
Yeah. So, listener, I watched the Apple event this past week, and
lucky you.
Do I need to add this to the worst keynote of the year?
Do we have a? Do we?
I feel like it probably needs to be, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this entire name as I wrote it in the notes in there because I think that's funny. I did not. Listen. My summary of the event as a whole was that typical Apple event name was once again a pun that didn't actually apply to anything in the event itself. I guess they did brag a lot about dropping the phones, but not even so much. It was mostly scratch resistance that they were talking about. Lots of ceramic shield everywhere. Anyways, it's a classic case of over-promising and under-delivering with these devices, which is their usual MO for hardware these days. So I guess I'm not actually that surprised. It's just disappointing because last year, end of the year, or middle of the year, I guess, the Mac Mini redesign was like, actually, no, Apple can underpromise and overdeliver. It is possible. It can happen. But no, that was not this event. So, if, listener, you have heard anything about these events, particularly from Apple, from either advertising or, heaven forbid, you watched the event itself, let me be your guide through all of this noise you have heard. Because the Apple reality distortion field is in full blast, as it always is around the launch of an iPhone. And their advertising BS, absolutely top notch, right? So I'm going to give you kind of a sampling of the type of advertising BS that they were spewing for each of these devices that they announced at this event. And then I'm going to translate that advertising BS into what does this mean for you, the average tech consumer who just wants your electronics to be easily understandable and functional in some way. So we're going to start with the AirPods Pro 3. They talked about the sound by saying things like multi-port acoustic airflow, breathtaking spatial listening experience, outstanding active noise canceling. The difference is night and day, quote unquote, versus this and the previous version, an over-the-ear headphone experience and a wide soundstage. With regards to live translation, which is a feature that they're adding to this, that it translates you or your phone to a second pair of AirPods Pro, which I thought was key. They've redesigned them with thousands of hours of analysis, engineered to stay in your ear. They've added a heart rate sensor and fitness tracking with an AI model integrating thousands of inputs from the Heart Watch study and built on everything that was learned from the Apple Watch. The translation for all of this is, from the perspective of Apple, we made them sound better to the average person, hopefully, but this is all so incredibly subjective. We'd also love it if anytime you travel with these things, don't just wear them to constantly show off to people around you. Please pull out your phone and show them that too. Also, we tweaked the shape a tiny bit to try and make them fit more of the bell curve for the average ear shape, but we do this with literally every headphone release, so it's not really a surprise. As for the fitness tracking, the raw sensor output is pretty unreliable, so we've had to try and compensate via AI. Maybe just strict tracking your workouts with your watch.
Yep.
That's the AirPods Pro 3.
Wow.
Oh, that's fantastic.
The price stays the same, which is nice, $250. So they didn't raise the price on them. And to be clear, the takeaway is that they are new AirPods Pros. If you liked the sound of the AirPods Pros before, these will probably sound virtually indistinguishable. If you didn't like the sound of the AirPods Pros before, these will sound virtually indistinguishable.
Yeah.
So nothing is going to change there. If the AirPods Pro didn't fit your ear before, they might fit now, but odds are not great. They didn't change them that much, you know?
Yeah.
And if you liked them before, you'll probably still like them and the price is the same. But if you've got AirPods Pros 2, don't buy these. You don't need them. Just keep using the ones that have been working. If you're rocking a first gen pair from when those were new, the battery is probably pretty weak. You're probably thinking you want to upgrade by now. Upgrade to the newest ones. You might notice a slight improvement in stuff like the noise canceling and that kind of thing. You can use the heart rate tracking if you want, but the fact that they mentioned AI so much during that section really does suggest to me it's not super reliable. So maybe a useful input to have, but certainly should not be used for but there's a reason they're not tracking hypertension through the headphones, which, future note, that is a thing they might or might not be doing with the Apple Watch now. But yeah, they didn't say anything about that for the headphones. And I think that, that means something.
Yeah.
So.
Listener, I got to preface this a little bit. So I purposefully did not watch this event. I was going to, and then I started hearing things like I listened to other podcasts, I read some articles, watched some videos. I did a bunch of other stuff around what happened at the event, which I think was the right way to go about this. Because, yes, Apple will always spin this. Everything they do is the absolute best thing ever to come out of Cupertino ever. And it's always got some, it's just, Caleb's 100% correct in how they're wording this is just stupid.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to the AirPods Pro 3, I am a user of the AirPods Pro 2. And from everything I've heard, the main difference between what I have and what these new ones are is, according to Apple, 2 times better noise cancellation. I have a hard time believing that.
Nope. That's a joke.
But I'm sure it is better, but I don't think it's going to be
Probably.
significantly better.
Yep.
And the other thing is better battery life. They're saying up to 8 hours of battery. I don't know was that with noise cancellation or without noise cancellation?
Without. That was without.
That's fair. I think what mine were rated at was up to 7 without. It's not that much worse. And right now, my AirPods Pro 2 headphones, I can go with noise cancellation probably 4 to 5 hours on a charge, which is actually pretty good. And the only thing that for me would be worth upgrading for would be because I still have a Lightning case. I bought mine before they upgraded the case to be a USB-C case. But that's not a big deal because I wirelessly charge mine because they have that. They've got MagSafe built into my case. I don't need to worry about using sometimes I do, but for the most part, I just drop them onto a charger and I'm fine.
Yeah.
So Like, if you have AirPods Pro 2, the only reason you would ever want to upgrade from the 2 to the 3 is because your battery life has dropped significantly. And, like, I've had mine for a few years at this point. I mean, obviously, the fact that mine are still Lightning case should tell you roughly how old they are. And the battery life on mine has gotten worse, but only barely. Like, maybe I've lost 30 to 45 minutes worth of battery time at most.
Yep.
And that's not enough of a reason for me to upgrade. Also, USB-C is not enough of a reason to upgrade. So, yeah, going from the 2s to the 3s, not worth it. If you're going, like Caleb said, from the original, or if you're going from regular AirPods and you're thinking about the Pros, maybe. But it's just, it's not near. I don't think this is enough of an upgrade to really justify calling them 3s. Other than, I mean, yes, there is a design tweak. So, okay, a number.
Slight design tweak. The heart rate sensor.
Oh, and that. So, when I heard the rumors that was going to be there, I'm like, people want that?
As soon as they said that yes, heart tracking enhanced with machine learning and AI, and I'm just like, so it doesn't work. Like, that's, we have to make it up using AI because it doesn't actually function. Got it. Good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I want to meet the person that is buying AirPods Pro for the heart rate tracking, because, I mean, if you're buying AirPods Pro, you most likely also have an Apple Watch.
Mm-hmm.
So
just use that.
It's going to be more accurate and much easier. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yep. Yeah, good times. So yeah, that's the AirPod Pros 3. They're available for pre-order now, or are they available now? They might be available now. I can't remember.
I think everything didn't everything go available this Friday, or is it next Friday?
Everything is available for pre-order. I know that.
Yeah.
I know some things were launching a little bit sooner. I think the phones were next Friday, but these might be available now. In any case, like I said, if you're upgrading your AirPods, or you're in the market for AirPods Pros right now, at all, well, now's a good time to buy them. They're brand new, right? It's fine. They're fine. I'm not ragging on them, but Apple was talking about these things like it's the second coming of sliced bread, and it's not.
Yeah. So I'm just looking,
clear.
Just to clarify, I'm on their website. Everything is still available for pre-order, and every date is the 19th. So.
Oh, okay. There you go. Sounds good. All right. So let's move on to the Apple Watch, starting with the Apple Watch Series 11, which Apple described as the thinnest and lightest, with Ion X glass, a 5G modem, more power efficient. They introduced the concept of hypertension warnings based on a series of studies over 100,000 people utilizing novel machine learning applications. They've re-engineered the battery. It'll get 24 hours of battery life. You can wear it all day and all night. The translation: once again, we've tweaked the design a tiny bit, but not so much as to make it band incompatible. You might notice it if your watch is a few years old. The hypertension warning might give you a talking point to hit with your doctor the next time you visit them, which is nice. And the battery life is better, but you're still going to have to charge it every day, so you probably won't notice anything has changed. Like, most people take the watch off, charge it overnight. Nothing has changed for them.
Yep.
At all. That's going to continue to be the thing. If you were the type of person that was trying to wear it through the night for sleeping, you are the one person for who this will change things. You will be able to wear it through the day and through the night. And if you've got a fast enough charger for it, you'll be able to wake up in the morning, put it on the charger, go take a shower, get dressed, eat your breakfast, drink your coffee, take it off the charger, and it will be charged, and you'll be able to get through another day cycle again. Right? If you're giving it like an hour to charge, you've got a fast enough charger, this applies to you. But otherwise, still have to charge it every day. Not going to make a difference for 90% of people. So I don't want to say that there were no improvements, but it is an extremely iterative improvement to this device over the Series 10. Is it bad? No. The price, $400, which is what the Series 10 was, right? Like, it starts at $400. So is like, if you were in the market for a new Apple Watch and you were like, I'm going to wait until the new one launches, nothing has changed. You can go ahead and get this one. It's basically the same, tiny bit better, but not in a notable way. If you have a Series 10, don't get this. Don't even think about it. If you have a Series 9, probably don't get this. Again, especially since the hypertension warning thing, that's a watchOS update. That's not a Series 11 specific thing. All of the watches are getting that with watchOS 26. I think back to the 8 or 9. I can't remember which one, like where the cutoff is, but it goes back a little ways. And yeah, like it's an Apple Watch. It's sure, I guess, Apple Watch, but like such a minor iterative update. If you were in the market for a new Apple Watch regardless, then all right, here it is. Go for it. It's fine. But certainly if you're trying to save a few bucks, frankly, go find a used Series 10.
Mm-hmm.
Go grab a used Series 9. You'd probably get one of those for like $150 at this point, you know? So like, if money is an object and you didn't want to pay the full price of an Apple Watch, the Series 11 isn't going to change anything other than make the 10 cheaper. So that's good. So get the 10, you know? Like, that's the takeaway here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got no
Anything
notes.
you want to add to that?
I've got
no notes.
No notes on
Pretty much
the Series 11. Yeah, no.
You really hit it on the head.
That's fair. There's not a lot going on with this thing.
It's funny because typically, as the Apple Watch user of the podcast, I usually do add something. No, don't need to.
There you go. And speaking of things that did not change a whole lot, let's talk about the Apple Watch SE. Apple had some things to say. They're adding an always-on display, the double tap and wrist flick gestures, the temperature sensor and cycle estimates, sleep apnea notifications, media playback via the onboard speaker, fast charging support, translation. It's a Series 10.
Yeah.
It's basically a used Series 10, except it comes with a warranty. So that's it. At $250.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to be like the one thing to mention would be like, if you don't have the money to get the 11 or don't, buy the SE because, yeah, I mean, it's a slightly smaller screen than the 10 because I think the screen got a
tiny bit.
I don't know if the screen got a little bigger this year, but it's gotten bigger over time, but it's still not as big. But that's really the only downside. Like, honestly, all the updates to the SE are well worth. I think that's now a really fantastic watch. And that's kind of going to be the theme, I think, of this whole podcast, of this event, was the base models are going to be the best options.
Yes.
And got the best updates. Because, the SE definitely got a lot of really good quality of life features. Like the always on display, that's what made me switch to an Apple Watch. Is it finally got an always on display. I'm like, okay, I'll get it now. Because I use that all the time. I mean, obviously, on my old Android watches, because it's a watch. You want to be able to quickly glance down and see the time. That was the thing I hated the most about the SE. I'm like, I have to tap it to actually look. No, not buying that. Now, the SE is actually well worth the price at $250.
Yep. And that's the thing I was saying. Like, if you're looking at the Series 11 and you're like, but a little bit cheaper would be nice. A used 10 is a good option, but a used 10 is probably going to be $200 to $250.
Yeah.
And the SE3 is essentially a used 10, but it's brand new with a warranty for about the same price. Like you said, tiny bit smaller display. I think it's a tiny bit heavier and doesn't use quite as nice materials on the watch body. Okay, whatever. Who cares, right? Like, I think the SE3 is the biggest update year over year, or version over version, because the SE2 is a few years old, right? Like, it was significantly out of date versus the SE3. So that was by far the biggest jump to any of the devices in this event. So, like, that's great. And the price stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think that of all of the devices we're about to talk about, listener, this is the one I would say, buy that. This is a solid one. as has been the case for the SE devices.
Yeah.
Right? With the iPhone SE, it was always like the year that came out, that was the best bang for the buck iPhone you could get. And that's the case with the watch as well. Right
Absolutely.
now, for this year, this is by far the best bang for the buck watch you can get, including used watches, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. The used device market comes into this as well. I still think that the brand new SE3 is the best bang for the buck Apple Watch you can get right now. So if you're like, I want to save a little bit of money, but I am very interested in the Apple Watch ecosystem, this is the one I would recommend. So there you go. Best part of the event right here. Sorry about the rest of this podcast, I guess. Though I will say I do feel like Apple should have issued an apology after they talked about the SE3 for the rest of the event, because it kept going for like an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The Apple Watch Ultra 3. Apple, most advanced display technology, the largest display ever in a watch, faster refresh rate, wider viewing angle, satellite connectivity with a redesigned radio and antenna and doubled signal strength. Translation: the display is slightly more readable in direct sunlight than the last one. And remember that satellite texting stuff we added to the iPhone a few years ago? It'll do that.
Yay.
There you go.
Yeah. There is like maybe 50 people that have an Apple Watch Ultra or Ultra 2.
That don't already have a phone that does the satellite texting.
Well, that, or they are the people that could use that satellite feature. Maybe 50 people. Because it's a very niche need on a watch.
Yeah. Like, we've talked about the whole satellite connectivity thing with regards to phones before, and how like it's nice that it's being added to phones because there are people who commute through areas where they genuinely don't have service and they need that, or the weekend warriors who aren't really serious outdoors people, but they go up into the mountains on the weekend and they're at a cell service range, and occasionally they get in snowmobile accidents and break an arm, and and it's a whole thing, right? For those people, I think it's really nice that this feature is added. I think the watch is a little bit like, it's not bad that it's there, right? It's fine. I'm not going to complain about it. But the people who really wanted this on a watch, who weren't okay with it being on their phone, already have a Garmin that has this. And they're not buying an Apple Watch Ultra to replace their $1,000 Garmin watch.
Yeah.
That's just not a thing that's happening. They are already familiar with the Garmin. They probably like it better. But there's a few people that like the look of the Watch Ultra, or just really want an Apple Watch because the heart rate tracking is better or whatever. Or they're like decathlon people who are up in the mountains constantly and also do a bunch of swimming, and the Garmin doesn't double as like a satellite connectivity device and a dive computer, and so they want one that does both. There's going to be a few people that are like that, and that will sell them an Apple Watch Ultra 3, and that's fine. But for you, the average consumer, no, this is not going to sell you an Apple Watch Ultra 3. If you really want the satellite stuff, just buy a newer iPhone.
Yeah.
Or sign up for the T-Mobile thing with a Samsung phone or whatever. Like, that's the route to take, because I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but the laws of physics do apply here. And the antennas on an iPhone are way bigger than the antennas on a watch, which means that the satellite connectivity is going to be easier to establish and more reliable on the phones than it will be on the watch. Will it work on the watch? Yes, I'm sure it will. But is it going to work as well as the phone? Probably not.
No.
So, yeah, $800. It's still $800. If you were in the market for an Apple Watch Ultra already, here's the newest one. Go ahead and buy it. But it's certainly not a reason to upgrade over the Ultra 2, or honestly, even the Ultra 1, if that's still working for you.
Yeah.
Just keep using it. It's again, a very minor iterative update. Nice, but definitely not a reason to upgrade. So, if you're upgrading don't.
Yeah. The only reason I could see some people, and I do know some people that would probably do upgrade from the Ultra 1 or 2 to the 3, is because they are claiming up to 48 hours of battery life rather than the 36 that was previously advertised, which is a big deal.
True.
And I do know people that specifically bought the Apple Watch Ultra, their first one, because of the longer battery life. But at the same time, if you're paying $800 on a watch, you could buy an $800 Garmin and get a week's worth of battery at least.
That's true. And it is worth noting that 48 hours is a lot better than 20 or 36 hours. That is true. But as with the Series 11, you're still going to have to charge it every other day.
Yep.
So nothing will really notably change. Yes, it will last longer on the second day, but you're still going to have to charge it the second day.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I mean,
doesn't change anything there.
My favorite feature about the Apple Watch 3 or Apple Watch Ultra 3 is the fact that it exists, because there are dumb people out there that will go from the 2 to the 3, and I might be able to get an Apple Watch Ultra 2 in black for cheaper used.
There you go. Yeah.
Because ever since they announced that black one last year, I'm like, oh, I really wouldn't mind that. Because as much as I don't love the look of the Apple Watch. It's not my favorite. I like it better than the Pixel Watch. It's just one reason why I use it over the Pixel Watch, and the fact that I'm on iPhone. But I do actually like the look of the Ultra, and I wouldn't mind the bigger screen and the better battery. But the thing I want the most out of it is the durability, because like in my line of work, I put a case on my watch when I go to work, and I still have scratches on the display because it's not a sapphire crystal like it is on the Ultra, and it's not titanium, it's aluminum. So that's the main reason I want the Ultra, is the durability. But so again, my favorite feature of the Ultra 3 is that it exists, because the Ultra 2 people will be selling that, and I'm hoping I can find one for relatively cheap sometime in the future, because
there you go.
That would be nice.
There you go. All right. We're going to move on to the iPhones. The first thing that Apple said about the iPhone was Tim Cook specifically said, quote, that it's unlike anything we've ever created. And the translation for that statement is, listener, due to some iterative updates, it's technically not exactly last year's phone. Therefore, it's unlike anything we've ever created. Because literally it is different at a very minor technical level. All right, let's talk about the iPhone 17. Oh boy. So the display. You can see more and do more. It's bigger, 6.3 inches. ProMotion up to 120 hertz. Always on display down to 1 hertz. 3,000 nits of peak outdoor brightness. Our best display on iPhone, specifically excluding the Pro. Most durable design ever. Bonds to ceramic shield at a molecular level. This special coating we put on it that also blocks glare. The A19 processor has a 6-core CPU, responsive, great battery life, a big step up for graphics, a huge boost in speed from older iPhones, incredible gaming. New display engine for ProMotion. The cameras have fantastic dual fusion camera system with a main camera and a 2x optical quality telephoto with a fusion ultra wide, and a selfie camera that has immersive center stage experience optimized for handholding and unlocking the performance of the main lens. Translation. The display is the same as last year's Pro. It'll hopefully break less if you drop it, but still, please don't drop it. And the CPU is the same basically as it has been for years, but with slightly updated architecture, so you'll get like 10 to 15% more speed that you'll probably never actually notice. The cameras are kind of like last year's Pro too, with the whole pixel grouping thing that does full resolution crop for a zoom that is quote unquote 2x, but it's really just digital zoom on the center of the sensor. And the selfie camera does the whole zoom to follow the center stage thing during like FaceTime calls that made way more sense when we introduced it on the Mac and the iPad. but now it's on your phone too. Yeah, that it's a nice iterative update to the phone. Honestly, the price stayed the same at $800. The biggest upgrade to this phone is that for $800, you now get 256 gigs of storage.
Yes.
That is the only notable upgrade to this device for the average consumer. Is it a tiny bit faster? Yeah. Oh, sorry. And it now comes with ProMotion, right? Which is the thing that's been on the Pro phones for years. It is nice that it's on the base model finally. 120 hertz, 3000 nits of outdoor peak brightness. It is the best display they've ever put on a device that they just called iPhone.
Yeah.
It's not the best device that's ever been on, or best display that's ever been on an iPhone. We've had this exact display on other iPhones before, but it is the best device on a device, or best display on a device they have only called iPhone. And yeah, like it's a little bit faster battery life, maybe a little bit better because the efficiency gains in the processor, but honestly, probably not going to be a significant difference. You're not like, sure, the games are going to run smoothly. Are they also going to run smoothly on the 16? Yep. Like, it's not going to be a notable difference. Yeah. And I will note, because of ProMotion, anybody who tells you that games run smoother on the iPhone 17, and look, here it is compared to the 16, just point out the display on the 17 is running at 120 hertz, and that's why it looks smoother.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been wanting this for so... Anyways. Yeah. So 256 gigs of storage at the base price, and you now have the ProMotion display. Make this the largest upgrade of the iPhones this year. So that's good. And if you were in the market for an iPhone last month and you decided, wait, I'm going to wait for the 17 to launch. Yeah, sure. This is worth buying over getting a slightly cheaper 16.
Yeah.
I will say you'll, instead of saving that $100, get your ProMotion display and more storage for $100 more. That's fine. Don't buy the 16. If you can get a used 16 Pro for about $800, maybe get that, maybe, but it's kind of a toss-up, right? Like, so I feel like the 17 is reasonable value for the device you're getting. Not a blow, like, nowhere near as enthusiastic as how Apple made it sound. Mm-hmm. Nothing at all like the ads they're showing. Oh my gosh, the ads that they are showing are leaning so hard into this is so much more durable than the other last year's iPhones and stuff like that. It's still made out of glass, listener, front and back. It probably is slightly more scratch resistant. Still put a case on it. Still, please do not drop it. Still, if you care about scratches on the display, put a screen protector on it. Like, this is just like Apple marketing BS. It's not to say that no changes have been made. Changes probably were made. Engineers probably worked very hard. They probably have noticed some actual improvements, but nowhere near the extent of what you would be able to directly benefit from, Yeah. If you are prone to dropping your phone on concrete, still please put a case and a screen protector on it.
Yeah. And like, my thoughts on this are, I agree with Caleb that the two biggest things about this phone are the ProMotion display and the base storage being 256 gigs, because those two things are some of the reasons why I would have gotten a Pro over this phone, over the base model.
Yep. Now,
the other reason for me is I like the bigger display. And unfortunately, this is the year they get rid of the iPhone Plus, because this, I like the bigger display. I used
the bigger ProMotion display and the increased storage on a Plus would have actually made it a phone to recommend.
Yes. Like, if they would have kept the Plus this year on this type of phone, I probably wouldn't have bought a Pro. Not that I need a new phone. I've got a friggin' 13 still. But if I were to have bought a new phone, it would have been the Pro or the Plus because it's got the features that I want. I don't necessarily I like having 3 cameras. I don't need the 3 cameras. So that's not a big deal for me. But the ProMotion and the extra storage, those are big deals. I really like that. But of course, they got rid of the Plus this year for a dumb phone that we'll get to in a minute. But I actually do think the new selfie camera features are kind of cool. Like the biggest thing I saw that I like in it is not the center stage thing. I think that's kind of dumb and looks weird when you're watching. when you're talking to someone that's using it, it's weird. It's just weird.
It makes a ton of sense if you're on an iPad or a Mac that's been set on a desk and is sitting there and you're walking around the room.
Yeah.
Sure, center stage. I get it. On a phone, you're holding that. Mm-hmm. Just point it where you want it to. Like, that's so dumb.
That I agree with that. But that being said, there are oftentimes, I'm not the person that does this, but I am talking to people that do set the phone down and start doing other things. So I kind of get it, but for the most part, it's dumb. But the thing that I like the most about it is that you could basically take like a horizontal type photo without having to turn your phone. You're getting a wide angle selfie picture by holding your phone vertically, which is easier to hold and take a picture that way. And as the person that typically is the one taking this group selfie shot, or as they lovingly refer to it in Ted Lasso as an ussy, one of my favorite terms, I actually would appreciate this because my arms are longer than most people's in groups that I'm in. So like I said, I'm the one that's usually taking the picture, and being able to just hold it normally instead of having to hold it vertically and try to get the picture. And the other thing that was brought up in other places is when you have the phone vertical like that, everyone still more easily knows where to look at the camera. Not that they don't know where to look at it the other way. It just, for some weird reason, when you turn your phone horizontally, people freak out and think, oh, I'll just look at the screen. No, you still need to look at the camera. But when it's vertical, that mind, trick doesn't happen. And so they are actually looking at the camera easier. So I like that feature. But that's a feature that's on all the phones. That's not just specific to this one.
Yeah. Well, and it's also technically just a crop.
Right. Which
they were all like, they're making a huge deal about this. They also the quote unquote optical 2x telephoto lens, which is just like, no. You're just doing a digital zoom onto the center of the 48 megapixel sensor and blowing it up to 12 megapixels and making it full size. And 12 megapixels is totally big enough.
Yeah.
And 12 megapixels is what they're technically doing with the rest of when they're using the full sensor for the normal mode. They're just binning the pixels together into, larger pixels so they can gather more light and get better photos. But it's just a digital zoom.
Yeah.
Like Apple. It's just, you're using pixel binning and cropping. It's not anyways. And yeah, they just be clear with your customers, Apple. That's what we're asking for here. 2x telephoto, optical quality telephoto, just make it clear, like they actually did last year when they first introduced this on the Pro phones. And they're all like, so hey, here's how this works. And now that they're just talking about it on the base iPhone, they're like, oh yeah, this is telephoto.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Sure. So good times. Now, speaking of the phone that Landon didn't want, but would have gotten if it hadn't been replaced, the iPhone 17 Air.
Yeah.
Apple,
Well, wait first.
This one
it's
was
just
good.
the Air. It's not the 17. It's just Air.
You're right. The iPhone Air. I hate this so much. Okay, no, they were on fire with this one. A design from the future. Feels like you're holding nothing. Impossibly thin. 5.6 millimeters. You have to hold it to believe it. ProMotion, 3000 nits, ceramic shield. The A19 Pro continues to push single-threaded performance and efficiency. The fastest in any smartphone, 50% more last-level cache. Big upgrade to GPU with doubled 16-bit floating point operation rates. Forefront of AI acceleration, neural accelerators in each GPU core. MacBook Pro levels of compute. The camera, fusion camera system, multiple lenses in one, machine learning to capture optical quality 2x telephoto. The eSIM, industry standard, easier to use, better security, saves precious space, convenient for traveling. The battery, completely rethought to maximize efficiency, re-engineered battery technology, amazing all-day battery life, no number provided. The translation, listener, it's thin because we shoved all of the electronics into this absolutely diabolical camera bump that doubles the thickness of the phone. It'll feel magical assuming you've never held any of the competing thin phones, the last iPad Pro, or heck, any of the iPod Nanos. Also, the display is the same as last year's Pro phone. The processor is the fastest in a phone, but only if you don't compare it to a 17 Pro, because woohoo boy, are there some thermal constraints here. The cameras are the main shooter and selfie camera from the regular 17, which is probably plenty for most of y'all. Also, SIM tray is gone, for real this time, promise. And please just ignore any of your own personal experiences with SIM cards while we try to convince you that this is a good thing. Also, the battery is a normal battery that's very thin, meaning that, well, all-day battery life may not be an outright lie. Well, here's a MagSafe battery pack that will make your thin phone thicker than a Pro and cost the same. You'll probably want one. It's $1,000 to start. And yes, it does start with 256 gigs of storage, just like the 17. But absolutely everything else about this phone is worse than the 17.
Yeah.
In the interest of chasing thinness. And listener, with most of the devices in this event, aside from the Watch SE, I would say they're fine. Right? Very iterative upgrades, very minor. If you are in the market for the phone that they're replacing, or the watch that they're replacing, or the headphones that they're replacing, fine. Buy these. That's okay. With this one, I plead with you. Don't buy it. Do not tell Apple with your money that this is a thing you want to see in the world, because this is compromised. Every aspect of this is compromised in the service of quote unquote design from the future. And I'm sorry, the technology of today should not be put in the design of tomorrow. Give us the technology of tomorrow, then you can give us the design of tomorrow. Why are we so backwards on this, Apple? And here's my soapbox. And I've been on it since 2016. Apple is the worst at this. They are absolutely the worst at going, hey, we want the design to drive the progress of our stuff. And that's why we had i9-powered MacBook Pros that cooked themselves, because Apple wanted them thin. They wanted a specific thickness. Johnny Ive had to have his specific thickness, but they wanted to put an i9 in it anyways, because at the price they were asking, it was ridiculous not to have one. And you had to set these things inside of an air conditioning unit to get them to run at any kind of reasonable speed. Absolutely embarrassing. These things cooked themselves so badly, they were frying GPUs. This was all with a keyboard designed around thinness that was not functional for 90% of people, because they had the audacity to be humans in a world with dust. And it's just, oh, how could you? How dare you take our devices and try to use them where you live? That's just baffling. You have to exist in a clean room in order to use this stuff, because it looks so good though, right? Like, it's totally worth. That's the iPhone Air. Please don't buy it. It's a terrible thing for society as a whole. Thankfully, it seems like thinness is not really driving anybody's purchasing decisions so far. Nobody bought the Samsung thin phone.
Yeah.
And I think that if we could just get this to sell about as well or even a little worse than the Plus models have over the past few years, or the mini models before that. I would love for it to sell worse than the 12 and 13 mini. Please. Just anyone, like, if you don't believe in God, maybe start praying now anyways, just in case. Like, it's just, please, I need it to sell worse than those. We just need this to sell terribly, listener. And I think that Apple has done a lot to help us with that, because they talked a lot of stuff about it, but it has an A19 Pro chip that has one fewer GPU cores than the actual A19 Pro, which is in the Pro stuff. They actually made the statement MacBook Pro levels of compute, which is hilarious. Ha! Okay. And did not give us a battery life, said all-day battery life, and then literally introduced it alongside a MagSafe battery pack that only works with this device.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Does not work with the other iPhones, only works with the Air, and makes it thicker than the iPhone Pro. I do feel like that's worth mentioning. So, yeah. And they raised the price as well by $100 over what last year's Plus was. Started at $900. This one starts at $1,000. So Apple has done a lot to make this phone not sell, and I actually appreciate that. But I would have appreciated it more if they'd never introduced it. So there you go.
Oh, my thoughts on this are very, very, very similar to Caleb. It's stupid. It shouldn't exist. The only reason that this phone exists, and this is all speculation because nobody really knows this, but everyone is saying they only did this because that we all know they're going to be releasing a foldable iPhone in the future, and the technology that they learned about with making that, they were able to make this really thin phone in a singular device, because this is probably going to be the thickness of the foldable iPhone when it comes out, when it's open. That makes sense in a phone that has an 8-inch display on it. It doesn't make so much sense on a phone that's got a 6.3-inch display when you have to cram all the other junk into the camera bump, which, that being said, I don't hate the idea of cramming all that stuff into one smaller location, because you do get more battery that way, which we will talk more further into the Pro phones because it makes more sense there. It doesn't make sense here. But that's the only reason why they came out with this. Like, oh, we did this with the future folding iPhone. Why don't we try it in this one and see what people think? And like, everyone that I've heard that have held this phone, like actually physically held it, and also the slim Samsung phone, I don't even remember what it's called. It's stupid. The Samsung one, the only good thing they have to say about it is surprisingly lightweight. Like, when you pick it up, it is amazing how much lighter the phone is. That's pretty much the only good thing anybody has to say about either of those phones, because there's really no other benefit to these phones other than, yes, they are lighter weight, but that's it. Because everything else about them,
everything else is worse than the 17.
Yeah,
which costs $200 less.
Yeah, because they're so thin, they have to compromise in every other way.
Yeah,
and
somebody's gonna say,
dumb.
Listener, I can hear you typing right now. You're in the comments. You're about to say, but the A19 Pro, because the phone is so thin, because it is so thermally compromised, I would be willing to bet that on any kind of extended workflow, meaning a workflow that lasts longer than about 30 seconds, which is the average length of time for a smartphone benchmark test, anything that lasts longer than about 30 seconds, you will see better performance on the regular A19 in the 17 than you will on the A19 Pro in the Air.
Yeah.
Because of the thermal throttling.
Yep.
I will wager that right now. We haven't seen testing. These phones are still just in pre-order, right? But I will bet you money that is going to be the case. So, yeah, it's literally worse in every way other than, weighs less, is thin. How very Apple of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the iPhone 17 Pro. Little bit less on this one. Apple definitely wasted most of their reality distortion on the Air, but still quite a lot going on here. The design, the most advanced iPhone ever. A striking new design with powerful capabilities, entirely new approach to thermal management, meaning there is any, vapor chamber laser welded into the aluminum unibody chassis, direct heat strategically around the phone, aerospace grade aluminum alloy with their most durable design, a 4x resistance to cracks than the previous back glass, and a 3x better resistance to scratches. The A19 Pro here specifically 40% better sustained performance. Note they did not call that out with the Air. Camera, incredible hardware with advanced image processing capabilities. The best camera system we've ever made. Innovative front camera system. A 48 megapixel fusion camera on all 3 of the rear lenses for the first time. Extended plateau. 4x zoom at 100 millimeters and 8x at 200 millimeters. It's just a digital crop again. ProRes RAW support and Genlock. The translation. The noteworthy design change here is that this is now a fully milled aluminum unibody like our laptops, which you all agree are very nice. Why it took us this long to do this on a phone? Don't ask. We're hoping all the improvements to durability will make up for the fact that this is likely way less repairable than last year's Pro since we shoved all the electronics into that astonishingly thick hump on the back. But we promised that we did use all that space for more than just that, since the telephoto lens is now 4x instead of 3x, and it does do the pixel grouping thing like the main shooter now. All of the cameras will take very nice pictures, assuming you like our post-processing pipeline. We also added a bunch of actually very pro video features for that one Hollywood director that likes shooting on iPhones, but probably nobody else will use them unless we pay them to. And hey, thanks to actually putting in some thermal management features, the A19 Pro will be way faster in this than the Air. Plus, you get an extra GPU core. Just please don't actually compare the compute performance to a MacBook Pro. That bit was a joke. There you go. That's the 17 Pro. It starts, get this, $1,100. So only $100 more than the Air. And listener, I implore you, if you are at all interested in the Air, just tell yourself, no, I want excellent battery life, because they did, using that, again, just obnoxiously massive camera hump on the back of this thing, shove pretty much all of the electronics into that. It's all up at the top of the phone, which means that basically the entire bottom of the phone, aside from the charging port and some speakers, that's battery, man. It's huge. Like, it is, I think, larger in the normal Pro, not the Pro Max. The battery is physically more capacity than the Plus iPhone from last year. I remember seeing that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have to double check. But it's a big battery. So just tell yourself, no. I want the phone that's going to easily, no matter what my screen on time is like, give me a day's worth of juice. Buy this for $100 more. It's worth it. In addition to getting much better battery life and a thermal design that will actually sustain the performance of the A19 Pro, you will not be feeding into Apple's insistence that design trumps everything else. So there you go, the iPhone 17 Pro. A nice iterative upgrade over last year's iPhone 16 Pro, but the phone that I would recommend you buy if you're looking for a phone around $1,000 in the Apple lineup, simply because your other option is the Air. Yeah, there you go.
That's fair. Now, I find it, I do believe that this probably is the most durable iPhone, because the camera bump and all that stuff is all aluminum.
It's aluminum.
It's not glass. And that's a nice, and the glass
technically, the back glass is also not glass. So that bit was the thing they just kind of sprinkled in there that I thought was really interesting. It is, well, okay, it's glass, but it's like laminated glass.
Right.
Because they're not trying to make it appear like super deep frosty or clear or anything like that. It just has to be magnetic field transparent so that they could use wireless charging on it and put MagSafe in it. And so obviously it couldn't be aluminum across the whole thing. So there's a cutout in the back, but they covered that up with a ceramic shield bonded, like laminated glass and like composite wafer that is really thin, but is not glass the same way that the other stuff is glass.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about the shock resistance of it. It might be pretty similar to glass, but their claims about scratch resistance and stuff like that, I totally buy that. And I think that's because they really don't want to replace these. It looks like it's just glued onto the back of an aluminum unibody. That's not going to be an easy thing to replace. And so I think they really didn't want to replace them. So they made them quite durable. They're probably going to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I agree with you. This probably is by far the most durable iPhone we've ever seen.
Yeah. The other thing that makes, like, even if it was full on glass, like what we would expect it to be on the back, I do think the shock part of it would be significantly better because the glass portion doesn't go to the edge like it has on all the other glass backed phones. The aluminum rounds into the flat, and then the glass meets it, which is going to help in every scenario when you drop your phone, unless you're dropping it onto a point that hits that glass. The glass is going to be far better protected than it was ever before.
Even dropping it onto a flat, the camera bump is going to make sure that glass never touches the ground. So no, you're totally right. Like, the back of this phone, way more durable than any of the other phones. But because it is a unibody, that does mean that the only way in is through the front.
Yeah.
And like iPods of yore that had aluminum unibodies, that is going to drastically reduce the repairability of this device.
Yeah, that is the downside, because I did just watch yesterday Jerry Rig Everything's teardown of the Pixel 10, and he was singing its praises on repairability.
Wow.
Because it's much easier to take apart. Like, he actually took it apart on, which he typically turns it off, and like he was able to take the display and still use it while it was away from the body. Like, it was obviously still attached via the ribbon cable.
Right.
But he was able to do stuff on the phone with the display detached, could easily do that. And then also there's a pull tab to remove the battery. So Google is doing a lot of really good things when it comes to repairability, and they have all first-party parts that you can buy from iFixit, another good thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Apple is doing this, which is going to make it harder to do any of that. I mean, you're still going to be able to do it probably, and they're probably going to make it so you can do it yourself, but it's not going to be anywhere near as easy as other phones, especially the Pixel 10.
It's going to be interesting to see the iFixit teardown.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And like, I am really glad when we first saw the rumored leaks of this phone and that giant camera, as they call it, plateau, which is the dumbest name, although fitting, still stupid.
Extended plateau. This is the Pro has the extended plateau.
Yeah. Like, when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, I get the idea of a camera bar like that, and the way that Google does it, because the cameras span that whole bar. Apple didn't do that, and we knew that.
Nope.
But I do now understand it because, like Caleb said, they put all of the electronic stuff into that little clump.
Phone is up there.
And as ugly as it is, I don't hate that they did that, because, yes, they were able to put more battery into this thing, which literally everyone's been asking for since the dawn of cell phones. We need more battery. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't hate this Pro phone.
No,
it's not the worst. It's because it is going to be more durable. It is going to get significantly better battery life than the other models before it, which is always a good thing. But other than that, I mean, if you have a 16, don't buy this phone. If you have a 15, don't buy this phone. If you have a 14, you could probably justify it. The cameras are definitely going to be better. The battery life is obviously going to be better.
I think just in general, we're at a stage in Apple's lifetime with the iPhone where 3 years between upgrades seems reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Like, totally do that. 3 years is good. 4 years, you probably do that. 5 years, okay, like maybe get an upgrade now, you know? But if you're waiting 5 years between upgrades, then you just upgrade to a phone that's a year or two old. And
Yeah.
that's a good upgrade, you know? So yeah, it's fine. Like I said, listener, the Pro is fine. And if the Pro existing keeps you from buying the Air, awesome.
Yes.
Love it. Do it.
Yeah.
Do not, under any circumstances, buy the iPhone Air. And that's my takeaway from this entire event. Most of it, fine. The Apple Watch SE3, actually pretty good. Do not buy the Air.
Yeah.
And that's it. Apple's Awe-Ful-I-Mean-Awe-Dropping Event.
Yeah. My main thoughts on all the phones as together is if you don't need the bigger display and you aren't a heavy, like even just heavy in usage, I'm not saying power user, but you're not on your phone all the time, buy the base model iPhone. It's easily the best bang for your buck now. It's actually with the ProMotion display and 256 gigs of storage, I can almost say it's worth the $800. It's still not, but it's much closer than it was before.
Oh yeah. No, that one,
yeah,
the best deal by far.
And then if you are a power user, get one of the Pros, that's fine. And under no circumstance whatsoever, do not buy the Air. Just don't even think about it. Just don't, just erase it from your memory. Don't even think about its existence.
It's a fake phone. Just like all the claims they made about it. It's fake.
It's just like their AI. It might be existing, but it really isn't. They may have announced it, but that doesn't mean you can use it.
It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not there. Oh, jeez. That's funny. Well, man, I would tell you what, that was a lot more than I thought we'd talk about on that one, but hey, that works. Let's move to the next thing. Next thing we're going to talk about is the Nintendo Direct. And actually, I feel bad because I didn't watch it.
That's fine. I didn't either. To be clear, everything Nintendo does right now offends me, but I feel like there are probably some people listening to this who would be interested in a few of the things they talked about. So, quick rundown of some of the highlights of the Nintendo Direct. I'm not going to talk about all of it. No. Refuse. Will not do. However, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Remember how we talked about how that exists now?
Yes.
No word for years and years, and finally, oh, here it is. Turns out, release date, December 4th of this year. So, okay, it's coming. The big new game announcement was for the next Fire Emblem game. It's called Fortune's Weave, and that's supposed to be released sometime in 2026 for the Switch too. It's a Fire Emblem game. They're turn-based strategy games, and sure, that's a vibe. The next Pokemon game is going to be a cozy life sim / farming game along the lines of Stardew Valley, which finds you taking control of a Ditto using its shape-shifting powers to pass as a human because its trainer has disappeared for some reason. This sounds like a murder mystery. This is a freaking weird concept for a Pokemon game, but let's be fair. Pokemon as a franchise is pretty strange.
Detective Pikachu, but Detective Ditto, I guess.
It's got some weird vibes to it. So yeah, that's the next Pokemon game. I don't know what they're doing over at the Pokemon Company.
Interesting.
And they did announce that Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 are getting like kind of a quote-unquote remaster, but mostly just re-release on the Switch 2 on October 2nd. And that is mainly happening because they have announced that there's going to be a Super Mario Galaxy movie coming in April of 2026.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. If you really loved the Super Mario movie, expect more from your entertainment. I mean, here's the sequel, right?
Hey, now,
anyways.
It was a fun movie.
Here's the thing. The Super Mario movie was way better than the vast majority of video game movies. But that's not high praise.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was aggressively fine and inoffensive. And I think you'll find that was a huge improvement versus the first attempt. There's a new Yoshi game. It's called Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. It's coming in spring of 2026 and focuses on a new character known as Mr. E, who is a book that falls from the sky and can't see what's written inside of him. And Yoshi things ensue. So there you go. And then the big news, and I'm going to finish on this. Nintendo is adding Virtual Boy games to the eShop.
What?
And they're doing that to accompany a re-release of the Virtual Boy itself. So you're going to be able to purchase a Virtual Boy accessory for the Switch 2 that is a headset, like a plastic Virtual Boy headset with the stand and everything that hinges open, and you can insert your Switch 2 into it so that the Switch 2 screen through the lenses becomes the display on the Virtual Boy. You may remember this as listener as being fundamentally identical to Google Cardboard, which is good thinking. Nintendo remembers that too, which is why the plastic one will cost $100, but you can get a cardboard version for $25.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go.
Nintendo's trying to sell you cardboard again.
Yep. And I love that this is like, they're like, play 14 Virtual Boy games. And I'm like, you mean all of them?
Yes.
Want to talk about the worst selling video game console in the history of video game consoles? I'm pretty sure it's the Virtual Boy.
I mean, they're going hard. You know, go max. You know, you don't just say, hey, we're going to put virtual. I mean, like, geez, this is not one of those I would have expected. That's crazy.
No, it's nuts, but there you go. So that was the highlights of the Nintendo Direct.
Amazing. Yep, that's all I could say. We're going to move on to some general tech news. Let's see. The Nova launcher may be going away.
Listener, you might have heard about Nova launcher. It's been around on Android for a long time. Like, I used Nova launcher on my very first smartphone. Well, okay, not smartphone, because I had a Palm Trio, but my very first Android phone. It was the Samsung Galaxy S2, which had TouchWiz, which was absolutely awful. So obviously I used a launcher on my phone, and Nova launcher was the one that I used, and I used it for quite a while. Even when I got my first Nexus phone, I initially downloaded Nova launcher. I'm like, actually, you know what? The Pixel launcher is actually usable because TouchWiz wasn't. So I stopped using it, but I do still know people that use Nova launcher on every single phone. Most of them are actually Samsung users, ironically, but they still download Nova launcher as the first thing they do on their new phones. But there's some unfortunate news going on. So I think it was a few years ago. I'm reading here, it was 2022. Nova launcher was acquired by an analytics firm called Branch. And
that's never a good sign.
Yeah. Now, when that happened, Branch did say they bought the Nova launcher, and they acquired the whole team, including the founder, and I think they had 12 people working on it. So all of them went, and they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna still let them do their own thing and continue on. And if we ever get rid of or want to stop doing stuff with Nova launcher, we'll make it open source." That's what they said. I'm like, oh, that's actually great. Good. Great. But in 2024, Branch announced a lot of layoffs that happened that included pretty much everybody in the Nova launcher team except for the founder.
Oh.
So it was basically just one guy working on Nova launcher still for the last year or so. And that's unfortunate. And he was actually apparently working on getting this thing ready to be an open source type project, you know? And then recently, like this past week, Nova Launcher basically was like, yeah, you need to go. And they haven't said anything about putting this as open source because they stopped that project also a few months ago of him working on getting it to open source.
Shoot.
So if you are a user of Nova Launcher, you might want to look into something else, or depending on the phone you have, honestly, most launchers nowadays can do the majority of the customization that you could do with Nova Launcher. So maybe look at trying to go back to whatever phone you have, like the launcher that's just on there. I don't know. But again, it's not completely dead yet, but it's not looking good considering that they don't have anybody working on it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm truly hoping that the company does make good on their promise to make it open source, because if that's the case, then all 12 of the people that were on the team could go back to working on it just on the side, and they probably I could see a handful of them actually doing that, especially the founder. Yeah. I guarantee he would. And I'm sure other people in that same team probably would just help when they have time, and that's the idea of open source. I love it. So I really hope that this company makes good on that promise. I just have a hard time seeing that happen with the way things have progressed over the last year or so. It's just not looking great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Gotcha. Well, dang. I remember Nova Launcher being on my old Razr phone.
Yeah. It's funny, like I downloaded Nova Launcher because they had a version of what the Pixel or like the Nexus launcher was back in the day. And like, I want that, so I'm going to download Nova Launcher on my Samsung phone so I can make it look like a Nexus phone. Because it was significantly better than TouchWiz.
All right. Well, we're going to move into some gaming news. There's not a lot, but something I figured I'd mention. Listener, the Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to select cars using LG's WebOS platform. On the advertisement, it says, "This is an Xbox that goes vroom." Yep. That's what it said, listener.
Boy.
So they said, whether you're jumping back into an old favorite or discovering something completely new, Xbox Cloud Gaming on an LG Electronics transforms your vehicle infotainment system into more than just music and movies. So, through the access of Xbox Cloud Gaming and car connections to the internet with LG's WebOS platform. That will be coming soon. That's what they say. So, there you go.
Wow.
This is now another adding to their campaign. This is an Xbox.
Your car is an Xbox.
Yep.
There you go.
It's there's not a lot of big gaming news going on other than I guess the Nintendo Direct, but I figured I'd throw something in there.
That's flippin' hilarious, given that yes, cloud gaming on your car, which means you're not even going to be using Wi-Fi. It's going to be cellular.
Yep.
So, hope you like lag, because it's all lag. Your ping is going to be 400 milliseconds. And
right.
Jeez Louise.
But they're pushing it. They're giving you the access so you can do it. All right. Well, that brings this episode. We're going to wrap this episode here to the end, unless, Landon, do you have one more thing?
No. Oh, wait, no.
Wait a second. I have one more thing.
Oh, actually, I just looked.
Notes,
I just looked. You must have added that. I'm sorry.
I mean,
for some reason, I thought I was
an hour ago. Yeah.
I'm a little tired. Actually, listener, we have one more thing brought to you by Caleb. I apologize.
Listen.
Yep.
Wes was asleep all of last week, listener, and that's why.
It's true. It's true. All of last week. Actually, this is pretty big to talk about. So I
was going to say, you want to talk about big things happening in the world of gaming. This was the single biggest thing to happen in the world of gaming in 2025. I think that's fair to say. Now, what we're talking about, of course, listener, is the release of Borderlands 4. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't move any needles. Nobody cares.
No.
Borderlands,
Nope.
You can go die in a hole as far as we're all concerned, especially since AAA gaming in general, nobody likes that. Indie gaming, that's where it's at. And last week, following their 2 weeks after their surprise announcement of, hey, we know you haven't heard from us in like 5 years, but here's some gameplay and also a release date. It's in 2 weeks. Hollow Knight Silksong launched, and for the first time that I'm aware of, because this, it's an indie game everyone was super excited for, launched on every platform, and for the first time that I am aware of, a single game managed to get the entire gaming community so united on a single purchase that when it went live and everyone tried to buy it, they crashed the Nintendo eShop, the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, and Steam. You couldn't buy this game on any of those platforms for hours after it released because the server load was absolutely killing these stores. And that's wild. That's absolutely nuts. The only place that didn't have this happen was GOG. So for all of you people who went out there and went to GOG first to buy your copy of Silksong, good job. Not only did you get a DRM-free version of the game that you're always going to be able to access so long as you've downloaded it to your computer, well done. You're a smart, savvy gaming consumer, and also you were the first ones to get it because everyone else crashed the entire video game purchasing infrastructure. Absolutely crashed over the launch of Silksong. And I think that says a lot for how popular it was. Over on the Epic Games Store, they've been trying to give away copies of Borderlands 4, and I don't think anyone's taking them. So,
are they really giving away copies?
Oh, how the turntables have turned. I think the main difference is they were asking $70 for Borderlands 4. Silksong is $20. It's $20. Listen, it's $20. Yeah. Look, I don't even like Metroidvanias. I'm tempted at $20.
Yeah.
So
I heard.
There you go.
I heard that this. I heard on the podcast or another podcast I was listening to, they were interviewing developers, and they were just like, "It's such a cool thing to hear," because usually you hear like, "Oh, we had to mortgage our houses, we had to do all this." Just the small developer. No, they released Hollow Knight first, and Hollow Knight, and they just went to work. And they didn't spend out of their means. They just went to work, said, oh, yeah, we're just going to make this and do this first. It was a DLC. And then they're like, oh, like you said, they just were like, oh, by the way, here's the release date and here's this. And it worked.
Like, here's the thing. It helps to have released an insanely popular, very successful indie game to fund the development of this for 8 years. But I think it says something that they were smart. They kept their team to the original 3 guys. Right?
Yeah.
They hired some freelancers to help with like voice acting and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So.
But the development team was the same 3 dudes that developed Hollow Knight, and they just kept going until it was done. And because they were running lean with a small development team, not trying to rush to the finish, they were able to subsist on just the sales of Hollow Knight. Because it continued to sell well, because it was a well-respected, very well-received indie game that people keep buying.
Yep.
And so that carried them through. And then this happened. I don't know how many millions of dollars worth of Silksong copies they've sold, but it is multiples.
Well,
and they're probably just going to be set for life now at this point. But given the development team, they're probably working on the next one already.
Well, I also heard, like, because it was crowdfunded or something for the DLC, or there was some about that. It was either crowdfund or something where someone had pre-purchased, like, the DLC, quote unquote, and they just gave them Silksong too. They were just like, "Oh, you pre-purchased the DLC, which Silksong was going to be, but here's the game. Like, here you go. Like, all pro consumer stuff here. They made their money. They're like, this is amazing. And it was $20.
Yeah. And it's because the developers are themselves, the developers and publishers, indie game, they are consumers. Yeah. And they made decisions that would be good for people like them, for viewers like you. It's very much like this is what works best, is when the people running the businesses and making the business decisions are from the same group as the people who they are serving. And that's the best video game development. That's what Silksong is.
You know, it's stuff like this I hear. I'm like, man, I think we mentioned this before when I was like, I didn't really get into Hollow Knight, and I'm not sure if I'll get into this one. But I thought I'm like, I'd pay $20 to say, hey, this is good job. This is what we want. Here's $20. Give me the, you know, like, I don't know. That's like, that's amazing. So, yeah, Silksong. I don't know. Maybe it is on Game Pass, so maybe I'll just download it and play it, and at least have some idea of it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I would buy it on GOG. Just, you know, good job, GOG, for not crashing.
Yeah, don't crash. Exactly. All right, listener. Well, that is the end of the episode. Thank you for that one more thing that I totally didn't forget about. I can't believe I did. Anyway, listener, if you want to get a hold of us, you can over on our social media platform. You can get a hold of us at callingallplatforms.com. If you also want to get a hold of Caleb and have him do a Silksong video or something, a playthrough, something easy like that to put on the YouTube channel, you can also go over there and comment and subscribe and ask him to play Silksong on the YouTube channel, or show him how to buy it on GOG. I don't know, something.
If anybody wants to pay me $1,000 to play Silksong, I will do it.
All right. Well, there you go. Anyway. All right, listener. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. Let me close this. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.